Hello and welcome everyone. First of all, a very happy Independence Day to all. My name is Irfan and today we have one of the most beautiful and famous celebrity who is an actress, producer and entrepreneur. She has been crowned several beauty queen titles. She is also multilingual having worked across four continents including Hollywood and Bollywood. She is truly international, having traveled extensively around the world to over 60 countries and lived in Dubai, Paris, India, Sydney, and currently in Los Angeles, California. But from heart, she's very much Indian. She has her own YouTube channel in the name of Preity Experience, and she takes interviews of famous personalities. So please welcome Preity Upala. Welcome, Preity.
Namaste, Irfan. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, and thank you so much for inviting me on your amazing platform. It's truly a pleasure to be here, and also I want to take this opportunity to wish you and all your amazing audience a happy Independence Day.
Thank you very much. So, firstly, Preeti, thank you very much for providing an opportunity to interview you. And to start with, tell me about your experience of your journey. You being so multi-talented, how was your journey started from actress to being into a YouTuber and this experience?
Yeah, and it's constantly evolving, I think, as well. My journey started in Sydney, Australia, where I was an investment banker, very much in the corporate world. It wasn't my thing. I left that to move to the other side of the world and pursue my dream, which was to, I guess, be on the global stage and do something artistic and creative with my abilities and talents and, truly affect the world at large. That was really my dream and won a scholarship to come to New York and then eventually LA. And I never looked back, as they say. A lot has happened in that time, working in four different continents and working on some Bollywood projects, some South Indian, projects, as well as Hollywood TV and film, and then branching off to motivational speaking, as well as doing now getting involved with media, foreign affairs, international relations, because I have a background in that, and um, and then I think originally my channel and my podcast started off just as I guess, a house for all of my different interviews that I was doing. I had about 500 of them at that stage. And then I realized recently that I, really like having deep, meaningful conversations with people just in general, but especially those who have, I think, achieved something big and who are known. And I just think that they may have something to offer to the audience in terms of lessons and uh, their own wisdom and advice, I think, on success and fulfillment. So I thought, let me interview thought leaders in the area of business, politics, spirituality, culture, and then finally sports as well. So that's how the Preeti experience got started, and I must say it's doing incredibly well and about to explode, I hope.
That's really great. I mean, it's really inspiring for youngsters, all the youngsters who are, getting into the journalism industry or probably to any of those industries who want to just get into that. You're the inspiring story for all of them. So it's really great to get into all those stuff. So how exactly you come into sports, especially to cricket? So what inspired you, or what was your inspiration coming to that?
Very good question. I'm glad you asked that, so I can share. I guess from my perspective and my journey thus far into this incredible world. So obviously, being an Indian fan growing up my whole life, I was one of those kids where the family really did watch the games. My parents, my brother, they're always very, very excited about sports in general, but especially cricket, as well as some other sports too. But grew up watching it. I grew up in Dubai. Obviously, in Dubai, there's a huge diaspora. They all love their cricket. Our neighbors, we had neighbors from all around the world, including Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. So I think
Mhm.
especially the India-Pakistan games were so, I remember they were so hot and intense and fun. And we really used to love those. games, and then the World Cups were amazing. I enjoyed all of that. Then moved to Australia, which was a very, it's a cricket loving nation, and that gave me another dimension into cricket and how much they loved and respected and admired the game there. And then eventually, when I moved here to America, it's interesting. Yes, the diaspora watches the IPL and, of course, keeps track of the Indian team, but Americans as such don't, the native, I guess, the real locals don't really play or watch cricket. However, America is still the second largest cricket market in the world because it has a huge population. And, so that was interesting. But this year, as I was working with my content, my channel, my show, all that good stuff, I started looking at sports. Especially when the India Australia series happened. I sort of, as a
Hmm.
geopolitical analyst, started looking at sport in a much more holistic, macro level, holistic way. And I realized that these can't be divorced. Politics and sports cannot be divorced, especially for in a country like India, they cannot. Then I looked at cricket and I said, cricket is phenomenal because you can see the story here over the last few decades, what has happened. And now today, look, India dominates the sport. 80% of the revenue in cricket globally comes from one country, which happens to be India. And then, you just look at this incredible impact that it has, the soft power that it has, and also just the fact that this BCCI is such a rich and powerful, one of the richest and most powerful sporting bodies on the planet as well. And this game of power and control, influence, dominance is very, very fascinating to me as somebody who writes and speaks about what's going on in the world. And I see a parallel of a rising India and like a Naya India, Naya Bharat. And then to see this in cricket too, it's a new Indian team, So I marry the two. It's a very unique way to look at it. And I look at other commentators, hosts, analysts. Nobody does that, and not in the way that I do it because I have a background in it. So I'm pretty knowledgeable with what's going on from the foreign policy point, right? So that's what I bring to the game. I think a very holistic, global, and almost a geopolitical view of it, and specifically focusing on India and how India is doing. And because I think India alone can change this game for the better or for worse. So we got to be careful, but I think the game is in good hands.
Oh, that's really great to hear all those experiences from you. So your YouTube channel, the Preity Experience, is quite popular, and you have took a lot of interviews, so with
Yes.
many renowned personalities. So how did you get that idea of starting this venture with YouTube videos?
Yes. So as I mentioned before, originally it was just to house all of my many media, hundreds of media engagements, all my TV, radio, uh, podcast interviews, and so on. But maybe about a year ago or so, I started realizing, look, I'm more than just I guess, somebody in the public eye, a actor, a celebrity, who gets interviewed a lot, and I've done a lot of red carpet interviews and things like that here in Hollywood. But hey, I'm also someone who like I'm very curious, and I like to ask, especially people who very successful people or very famous people, sort of how they have done things because there's something to learn for everyone. So that was really the basis. And I realized these conversations will be so helpful for my audience. But it's just fascinating. I think it's also a little bit different. Too many people do things like they do live shows and they do all this post and pre-game analysis in sports, and
Hmm.
then they'll do that for other political things too. And I'm not interested in any of that. I wanted to really look at like the human element of how people got where they got and where they are. So that's how I guess that's what inspired me. And then, business, politics, yes, that's a given. Culture, spirituality, absolutely. But then sports was added, and within sports, it's several sports that I enjoy and happen to watch. So, but I think cricket is unique in the sense that you have so many incredible people out there that you could call, right? And I'm starting to get to know several of them, and I've got a long list of very well-known people who are about to appear on the show. So I'm very, very thrilled.
Great, great to see that. So, three best interviews you have took, and who are those personalities, so that audience can go ahead and watch those interviews once again.
Well, there's many coming. There are several up already. I mean, one of the most, possibly the most famous sports journalist in India, Mr. Vijay Lokapaliji. He is quite
Yes,
incredible. I had the great privilege of interviewing him. LS, the very famous Leggy, who is now a world famous commentator. What a incredible body of, I mean, what a knowledgeable person about uh,
absolutely.
cricket he is. He's been a, all of these people, they end up becoming friends too. So it's always good. Had the great pleasure of interviewing, a player from Sierra Leone, and I realized that my platform is also good for the voiceless. So whether in cricket or in some other areas, but I think sports is a good example of that, where there are so many players who are not famous, or they're too young, or they could do with some exposure, I think. And I think I'd like to speak to young domestic up and coming talent as well as the biggest names as well. I think the dichotomy of that is very interesting. So there's that African player, there'll be some other international players, and my one of my latest interviews is actually the youngest chess grandmaster in the world. He's
Oh,
12 years old and he is a world champion in the game of chess. And guess what? He happens to be Indian. So it was a pleasure to interview him.
that's
And,
one great.
those are the inspiring stories, I think. They certainly touched me. I'm sure so many people would be, inspired
Absolutely.
by him. And he was such a sweetheart anyway to interview. That's Abhimanyu Mishra. So, stay tuned for that episode. But there's so many coming up, so I'm very, very excited.
Absolutely. So I will request all my audience to just go ahead and watch those videos. Anyways, I will be sharing you across in the description. So go ahead and watch those videos as well. So moving on to the next question, Preeti. Just wanted to check it out. We've seen you being very active in social media, especially in Twitter.
Yes.
Your recent tweet about Jadeja and Sanjay Manjrekar was quite interesting. So we all know the background of it. So just wanted to ask you what do you have to say about that.
It's so interesting. I was, look, I'm a neutral kind of outsider, someone out from outside looking into this interesting dynamic, and I tweeted the tweet, and then I just said your thoughts. I didn't form any opinion of my own. And, often I'll pose a question or I'll put out a poll or a thought,
Yeah,
and I never share my views on it. I always say, what do you think? What do you guys think? And then people will give a plethora of responses. Some love it, some don't. But the tweet was, um, Sir Jadeja has now passed Sanjay Manjrekar's total number of runs, and which is, I think, if anybody knows their history, it's pretty
yes,
interesting. So I think it's karmic kind of coming full circle that now Sir Jadeja has crossed that very record or that very number. And I wonder what people have to say about that. And I think people really did not hold back. They told me exactly what they thought about it. So I don't agree or disagree. It's just, I think, fascinating to see that people obviously care about all of this stuff. And, there's something very human about that. It's about, competition, human being, emotion, feeling. People take, I think, especially when some of those comments were made about Jadeja, I think a lot of Indian fans took it they internalized it,
mm,
and they felt, how would I feel if somebody said that to me, or and then if there were some other comments about something non-cricket related, and it's like, I think they're personalizing all of this, and they're like, I wouldn't feel too good if someone made those comments. I don't like this, let me give it right back. So So
Yeah.
unfortunately, he gets trolled a lot. But Michael Vaughan is another example of this. I think a lot of Indian
Yeah.
fans take that, they read Michael Vaughan's tweets, they internalize it, they personalize it, and then they get emotive about it. And they fire back because
Yeah.
it triggers something in them. And he is a smart aleck genius. He knows exactly what he's doing. I think he's a wonderful person that greatly respects and likes India a lot, but he is saying just the right thing to get a rise. And he also is understanding how the Indian Twitter works, and they do get triggered. So
Yeah.
he is pushing the buttons where they get pushed, and unfortunately, they're falling for it. I would like to see them not get triggered, because I know it's fun to read some of these uh, trolls. I mean, I guess the troll responses back, and he just does deserve some of them, but maybe others not. But it's
Yeah.
not good, I think, for our soul, because we should stand more anchored, I think. And because I see other countries, if you um, if you say something bad about their captain or player or their prime minister, they don't care. But in India, oh my God, all hell will break loose. And as passionate as that is, which is a good thing, you want to be passionate. I don't think it's good when you're I guess you almost you're so nerved by it, on a very, very soul level. Something is not doesn't feel good, and then it triggers other things, I think, other negative emotions of, are you worthy? This is really a self-esteem issue in the end. You have enough self-worth and self-esteem, you wouldn't care about what people are saying about you. But obviously we care so much. So I'm actually troubled by the response. So I hope that the Indian Twitterati will get their act together and not be so reactive.
Absolutely. I mean, my personal views is Jadeja has completely evolved after that incident,
Yes,
because prior to that he was okay, but right now he has been phenomenal from the past 2 to 3 years, and
yes,
probably one of the best all rounders in the world
yes.
right now.
If not the best, probably in the world right now. I know, and nobody beats his fielding anyway. And he's got such a um, I think I like people like him, and also people like MS Dhoni, who, I mean, when they come out, it's like all of India comes out to bat. The way they walk, I mean, the sword, all of the gestures. It's like they're obviously proud of their heritage and their country, and their even the place where they come from in India. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I want to actually see more pride in some of the Indian players. Kind of show it, show the world that you're so special, because you are. So it's a joy to watch Jadeja. He's one of my favorite players, and in IPL, of course, he's definitely one of my favorite players for sure.
Absolutely. So, just wanted to, since you took the name of MS Dhoni, just have one question on that. Last year, same day, Dhoni announced his retirement. From your Twitter handle, I mean, I see that he's one of your favorites. So, how
Yes,
do you felt and react on that news?
absolutely. I mean, MS Dhoni is my goat. For me, he is definitely the best captain India has and ever will have. I truly believe that. And I think he's the greatest and my favorite player anyway. And I think a billion others feel the same way. It was, well, was it shocking? I don't know. I think people were expecting something at some point. Maybe in 2019, some news was going to come.
Yeah,
I think it's fantastic, and I think that was like a master stroke that he decided that day, because I think it was apt, because this man is a patriot. He is a proud Indian
absolutely.
citizen. His involvement with the army, he's trained with them, he's served with them, he's fought with them. I mean, in that way. And I think he's very much son of the soil, right? And I think for him, it's he's transcended the game of sport a very long time ago. Honestly, after the 2007 World Cup, the T20 World Cup, for me, I think he was beyond the game. And since then he's never looked back. And so I associate him more as a great citizen of India, and sort of a great a supporter of the Indian Army, I think, more than anything. So for August 15th, Independence Day, all of that, and somebody like a Dhoni retiring is the perfect, I think, match. And I
Absolutely.
think he was wise to do that. And I think everybody was emotional anyway because of Independence Day, and I think the whole nation kind of wept. But it's beautiful because forever now, anytime we think about August 15th, Independence Day, we also think about MSD
Absolutely.
retirement, and it's also perfect. So I think good
Yes.
on him.
That's great. That's great. So, what do you think about the chances of India in the current India versus England series? Any prediction?
Wow, this, it's funny. Michael Vaughan had made a prediction that India would win 3-1, and probably a lot of people thought he was being delusional, maybe. Now you look back and you think, wow, he was actually he realized how weak this English team is, and how I guess how much they will struggle without any of their key players. However, I think most people underestimated how important Joe Root is and will be. So my thoughts, I think the first test we should have won. The rain
Absolutely.
ruined that for
Yeah.
us, which is a shame because with the situation that we have right now, we wish we had won that instead of drawn it. So that was that. This test, honestly, we had a chance to win it. We bottled it up, kind of. Now a draw is a good result. At the beginning of this series, I said a draw is a good result, and a draw should be the default. You know, if this series ends in a draw, it's a moral victory for India, all things considered. But I just think that they are the better team on paper and on the ground. Uh, this is a fantastic Indian team and a very, very weak England side that we may not see such a weak side again. I think they're gradually declining, but this is the weakest. Other than Root and Bairstow, honestly, there's nobody. And of
Absolutely.
course,
Yeah.
a couple of their bowlers, I mean, Anderson to be specific, but I don't know the second test how it's going to go. And then we have three more tests. I mean, look, be positive and optimistic. You could still win. You need a win, I think. It's not going to be a whitewash on either end. It's going to be tight, maybe 2-1 either way. 2-1 India would be a great result. But let's see what happens.
Okay. So, any personal favorites in Indian cricket team currently right now after MS Dhoni has was retired in the current Indian team?
Yes, well, I can only speak for IPL because that look, IPL is ultimately a domestic Indian tournament, right?
Yeah.
So I obviously support CSK, and I have a lot of favorites in CSK. I mean, Jadeja is definitely one of my favorites. I think he's going to do very well. I love Deepak Chahar. I think what a gem he is. I think both the Chahar brothers are incredible find for India. They will go on to do very well. I love Rishabh Pant. I think he's the future of India, and he's the future captain for sure. And then I'm very much enjoying KL Rahul's performance. I think he is. I don't know where he could go with his form and his career, but I think he's doing splendidly. So there's a lot of young upcoming, some fantastic bowlers as well. We have so many. I think our problem is who do you pick? I love Sky. I mean, Sundar. All these people are phenomenal, and they're young and they're hungry and they have a great attitude, and I think that they're going to do very well. There are a few people that haven't quite fired, and I was going to say the coach needs to kind of change the way they do the selections. But now that we've heard the latest news about that, maybe we don't have to worry because now we have to see who the next coach will be and what his selection style is going to be. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, since you took the topic of coaches, just wanted to ask you about the recently concluded Sri Lanka series. We had Dravid as the head coach, and currently we have Ravi Shastri as head coach. And you know that his stint will be expired after the T20 World Cup next year. So, do you think Rahul Dravid going to be the best Indian coach after the Ravi Shastri stint?
Yeah. So unfortunately, Ravi Shastri, whether he would like to or not. I believe it's really, well, I think the excuse is the age limit, but I think there are some serious concerns and reservations as well. But anyway, he is not going to be contesting to come back, so that's done. Yes, Rahul Dravid, I think, will be excellent. I think he's so attached to the under 19 side, though. I don't know
Yeah,
if he actually wants to pull away from that. Under coaching under 19 is very different to coaching
absolutely.
a veteran team, so I don't know. um, I think to coach a side you need a specific sort of get a set of skills, and there are some other takers as well. I'm not sure if Anil Kumble will be putting his hand up. I don't think he has the
Yeah,
best chemistry with the captain, so that won't work. But I don't know if Saurav wants to step down from BCCI. Would he be a good coach? I don't know. Uh, Maybe he's more. I see him more as a in bureaucracy and administration than actual, because you need to get your hands dirty. I think India needs an aggressive coach. You do need someone who's got a lot of fire in the belly, or else there won't be any compatibility between the team, right? So you need that. You can't have someone too casual, too calm, too relaxed. Although it would be a nice touch, I think it would complement the nature of the side. But I think if you want to keep winning and be the best, and now you got everybody wants to have their own league, and there's a lot going on, I think, in the world of cricket, and you need some coaches very, very grounded, anchored, but knows that this is the best team in the world and wants them to prove that every time. So I don't know, I have a feeling there'll be some new takers. I'm not opposed to an international coach. I think, to be honest, my favorite coach in the history of or one of the best coaches, of course, was Gary Kirsten. We
Oh
won the
yes.
World Cup under him. He was the most beloved coach. I think India loves Gary Kirsten, right? So I mean, hey, if Jonty Rhodes wants to be the coach, I think he would be a perfect asset. So somebody like them, like him, maybe a South African. I mean, is it Andy Flower? Is he interested? I know there's a few international people who kind of put their hands up, right? So in the months to come, we'll find out who's interested. I think there'll be a committee obviously set up to deliberate. The, the captain is going to make the last call, and then I think the team
Yeah,
collectively has to give their nod because they have to work with it.
absolutely. So, what do you think are the India's chances on the upcoming T20 World Cup? Pretty good
Wow,
chances.
they should win it. I mean, well, or they should do very, very well. I think, again, in the T20 format, I really think India is the best T20 team in the world right now. But remember, T20 is more anything can happen, anything goes. That's why you have a country like West Indies who's won, and India's only won that one inaugural one under MS Dhoni. And then I'm surprised that I mean, the country that gave birth to the IPL, I'm surprised that they didn't pick up another T20 championship after that first one. But I do think that on paper, again, we have 25 great players probably, and we need to pick the best, right?
Yes.
11. I think we have the best team, but hey, I mean, I mean, they lost against a very poor Sri Lanka, I must say, because, well, it was not our A plus team, I guess. But it doesn't matter. It's still India, and
Yeah.
there were a lot of lessons for us. I think we should never get ahead of ourselves. Um, I think to see a final between India and Pakistan would in Dubai would be something else. That would be the match of the century, I think. And
Absolutely.
you never
Everyone loves
know,
to see
because
that.
from the same group, you might have India and Pakistan come up, and then if they play, I don't know how it's going to work, but you might end up with India Pakistan. Don't be surprised. India West Indies, I think everyone wants to watch that, and I don't really know who would win in that situation. I don't see Australia making it to the final. New Zealand, I know they're good, but I don't see them in Dubai pitch. No, Pakistan has a good chance. They'll come from behind. West Indies are favorites. India will
Yeah.
do well. I think England has a good uh, chance. I think they get lucky. I don't know how Dubai. pitches to suit them, but they're definitely in with a chance. So let's see what happens.
Cricket evolved from time to time. We started with Test cricket, then came the one day with 60 overs, then it came to 50 over game, then again a T20. Recently, we had the T10 as well, and then
Yes.
now, very recently, we had the 100 League. So, have you followed this 100 League? And do you think it has the potential to qualify for Olympics in future?
So I don't think the 100 should be pitched as the cricket. I just 100 isn't cricket. I mean, look, T20 IPL is still cricket
Yeah,
because it's just shorter version of the 50 over. The problem with the 100 is now they changed because they're not calling it T10, right?
yeah,
They gave it a different name. Some of the rules are different. It's not a shorter version of the ODI. It's not really the cricket as the ODI and the T20 and the IPL are. So I don't think it's fair that that's pitched. I hope the ICC does not make a blunder like that. That's not a very attractive game for me. I wouldn't watch it. I don't know why anybody else would. So it has to be T20, I think. I think T10 is too short. It has to be
yeah.
T20. I know that it takes time. However, you're probably only going to have 12 countries make it, right? I mean, you're not going to have such a big pool. Over the space of 2 weeks, they can get through it. So that would be the way to go. And you need to the ICC needs to pitch a T20 version of it proper. You asked me about the 100. I have some some strong opinions on it. I think
Sure.
what the 100 is good for is women's cricket. I think it's great that they included women in that. In fact, you should have 100 just for women and push that to the hilt. I think that would be fantastic and pour the money into it, endorsements, all of that good stuff, exposure, media. You need that. England has pushed the game. Australia and England have done more, I think, for women's cricket than any other nation, which is great. So that should be encouraged. Um, I'm not a fan of the 100 uh, as another league, because when you listen to the ECB, the way that they talk about it, first they say that it's not a power grab. And then they follow that immediately with, oh, but England should really have more control of the international game. So they want power, but they're saying it's not a power grab. So I think they're contradicting themselves. I think they are competing with the IPL, but they don't want to say that. And it's a very poor
Absolutely.
attempt to compete with the IPL. So I think they've changed everything and they hope that it'll be a big success. I'm not so sure who's watching it, who's the way that they've coordinated the TV rights and all of that is not the way that IPL is done anyway. So 10 years from now, are we going to see the 100? Is it going to be the biggest tournament on the planet? Absolutely not. I don't see that
Yeah,
happening. I'd be surprised if it's around for another year. There'll be other leagues. There'll be other leagues all around the world. And there may even be another format in India itself. So we'll see.
absolutely. Okay, so just wanted to come back to the recently news which Unmukh Chand has retired from India domestic and has joined US cricket. So your views on it?
This is so interesting that you mentioned Unmukt. I recently had a conversation with him on social
Oh,
media. We
that's great.
connected with each other. Now he knows who I am and so on. I'm trying to interview him on my show, which will be
Oh, that's
amazing.
great.
So living in America now, for the first time, we're seeing uh, Cricket USA make a resurgence. Because that there was a Cricket USA that got banned because of
Yeah,
nefarious activities, right? So now there is no official Cricket USA, but we have minor league cricket that has started, that's happening right now. And now suddenly you're having ex-players, old players from around the world come to America and represent these American cities. It's phenomenal. And I think Unmukt, and when I speak to him, I have to ask him about his experience. Uh, how was he treated? Did he feel that they couldn't do all that they could to promote and help him? Obviously, things didn't work out, and he's still young. He still has a lot of
Yeah,
potential.
he's too young.
And he was at one point he was they thought he was going to be the next big thing. So what happened
Absolutely.
there? And I think it's great that he signed this contract. If he's going to make, that's a big move to leave everything behind in India and come all the way to America, play minor league cricket, which is just making kind of its growth here, But I'm excited that I'm here to speak to these people, find out what's going on, kind of keep an eye on that, and also see what's up with Cricket USA. Who is the official body, and somebody should set one up, and
Correct.
and politics behind that. I think that's very fascinating.
Absolutely love to see USC cricket do well and compete with different countries as well.
Hmm.
So that's one sport I think they have lacked where they should be dominating it. So
Hmm.
my last question to you, Preeti, what are your future plans right now? So what next?
Wow, so many things. I'm developing a show for Hollywood studios. Very excited about that. I'm writing a book, which will be
Oh, that's
um,
great.
uh, amazing. And I will continue to interview incredible people on my show, my podcast. Obviously, I'm pretty active on social media. I'm a professional speaker. I speak all around the world to big, large groups of CEOs, highly kind of influential people. But we've been doing a lot of virtual meetings, talks of late. But now I think we're getting back to real in-person conferences and stuff like that. So look forward to that. But I'm a brand ambassador as well, and I think there'll be new collaborations, new brands coming in with me. Uh, Over a wide variety, whether it's fashion, beauty, technology, electronics, as well as other. I also tie up with many different charities to do various sort of charitable activities of bringing awareness to different issues. So it's all very exciting. I just think there's big things around the corner, and I'm very excited.
That's really good. Great to know about that, Preeti, and really, wish you all the best for all your future endeavors. And definitely, it is an inspiring story for all the youngsters who are watching this interview, and definitely they will be learning a lot of things from you. So you are an inspiration for everyone. So thank you very much for coming to our channel and giving us this opportunity to interview you. And once again, I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Irfan, and thank you so much to CricMaze and CricBlog and all you amazing your audience for tuning in. Guys, please check me out, the Preity Experience on YouTube and my podcast, the Preity Effect on Twitter and on Instagram, and find me Preity Upala on LinkedIn and Facebook. Please reach out. I'm very excited to hear from you, and thank you again for having me on the show.
Thank you very much, man. Have a great day. Bye.
Jai Hind and Dhanyawad, everyone.